Sorry.
Hey guys,
What's up?
the recording
What's
isn't
up?
working. So, this is our little podcast about the death of Ivan Ilyich. I'm joined by Dr. Vic McCracken of Abilene
And
Christian University,
Professor McCracken.
Professor McCracken, and Professor Dr. Brooks.
oh, thank
Um,
you. Yes.
so, Dr. McCracken is actually the professor of philosophy. Is that correct at Abilene Christian
I
University?
I don't know. I think
I
so.
thought I thought you dad taught ethics, or
He
sorry, I
teaches
thought you taught ethics,
I
sir.
teach how shoot, I forget. Some sort of ethics. It's like Christian ethics, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Anyways, so he does some kind of ethics, whatever. And then Dr. Brooks is a professor of family therapy. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm the head of the department.
He's the head of the
I
department.
I think I don't
Chad.
I don't really know what I do around here,
By the
but
way,
I get
there's
paid the big
not.
bucks. That's all I know.
Yeah.
so, so I recently read a book called "The Death of Ivan Ilyich," which is basically it's about a guy who dies.
All
Um,
right.
so Leo Tolstoy, he wrote this book near the end of his own life. He had I mean, it was after he had written War and Peace and got super famous and had all this money. So he was realizing how useless material wealth actually was. And
Mm.
And apparently, how useless his wife was.
Yeah,
yeah,
because it
so
was
he
it was about how the wife. You know what? You explain it.
yeah, so both Ivan Ilyich, the character that he was writing about, and Leo Tolstoy hated their wives. Um,
That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, I mean it's great. So as he's writing this, it's kind of just a reflection of his own ideas of meaninglessness and the meaninglessness of material wealth and the pursuit, like he couldn't find his own happiness. Um, oh God.
Bless you.
So, I mean, all of us have COVID, by the way, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just worked out, honestly. Worked out really well for all of
yeah, it's
us.
perfect. So I'm gonna read a couple quotes to you guys, just that would help me help you guys understand the book a little bit more. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, no problem. So here's the first quote. He was not integrate. Wait, what the frick does that say? Integratiating either as a boy or later as an adult, but from the earliest age he had this quality of being drawn, as a fly is to light, to the most highly placed people in society, of adopting their manners, their views of life, and of establishing friendly relations with them. All the passions of childhood and youth went by without leaving big traces on him. He had been given to sensuality and vanity, and towards the end in the upper classes to liberalism, but it was all dang it, but it was all within certain limits, which were correctly pointed out to him by his instinct. So this is whenever they were discussing the beginning of his developmental years, where he didn't really make any good childhood memories. He didn't make any good childhood friends, but rather he was looking for the high society,
Right. He was making
Yeah.
connections.
building those
Okay.
connections, because he had this idealist view of like, okay, this is what I want to be in life. I want to be rich. I want to be hoity-toity, and so he sought this with his life. Um, and there's actually a really cool metaphor here that I really like. So he had this quality of being drawn as a fly is to light to the most highly placed people in society. I think that's a pretty interesting comparison. Like,
Yeah.
he couldn't get away from it because, like, basically, so flies and moths are attracted to light because they don't know what else to do outside. Like, it's just they're scared of the darkness, basically.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, this could cause their own death, which is kind of what happened to him. And so he was just being drawn to this society that he didn't really know how to escape from either, which I really really like. So I'm gonna keep reading these. Do you guys have any thoughts?
Yeah. So it seems really interesting, the fly metaphor, how, flies do that. But I was wondering if it seems like a metaphor for something. Usually these really famous books are metaphors for something. So do you have any idea like what do you think that it is a metaphor for generally?
Like the death of Ivan Ilyich, like the book itself.
Yeah.
So I mean, as I was saying, I think it's just a metaphor for how our society has gone. And like, of course, he was a Russian writer, so he had a lot of Marxist thought inside of him.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
Bless you.
oh, got
Oh,
the
that
COVID.
Luca.
that COVID, you
That
know?
COVID. Yeah, so he had a lot of Marxist thought, which is the exact opposite of capitalism, which is like, oh, we want more money, more materialism, right? Um, and he found that there's no value in materialism. Like the death of Ivan Ilyich was showing that, like, man, this guy lived a life of meaninglessness. He lived a life seeking things that don't matter. He flew
Uh
by over his own childhood, his own life, and as I'll show you guys later in a second, his own family for is seeking that wealth, seeking that happiness. So
s- it's trying to say that materialism has no value and there's something else that has
there's,
value in life.
there's something deeper, I think,
Yeah.
and so I'm gonna read this quote to you guys. Ivan Ilyich was married out of both considerations. He did something pleasant for himself in acquiring such a wife, and at the same time, he did what highly placed people considered right. So he found a wife for, like, not for the sake of loving a woman, but because
Mm.
it was nice for him, and he did what highly placed people considered right at that time.
So you're basically like saying this guy, he's a Sigma male and
Yeah.
he has a gazillionaire grind set. It's basically what you're
Right.
saying is
Yeah,
that this
exactly.
Tolstoy fellow, or actually, sorry, who is it? Who's
Ivan
the
Elliott.
character? Yeah, yeah. This guy, he's a Sigma male and he's got the gazillionaire grind set. That's basically what you're saying.
That's pretty much like the wife was only for political purposes, basically. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's
Um,
for the wife was for um, you know,
yeah.
material
So
purposes. Interesting.
yeah. So as he is finding his wife, he like it's a woman that is very pretty, of course. But she's involved in the high society. He doesn't actually want the woman for the sake of the woman. He just wanted her because everybody else has a wife, so I might as well get one. Um, which sounds
Another
kind of
for
like
my
our.
collection.
It sounds a little bit like our own society now, where, like, okay, well, at least for high schoolers and middle schoolers, I mean, for college professors like you guys,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
where it's like you just kind of want a relationship for the sake of a relationship rather than um having actual what's the Greek
like
word for it?
connection.
Is it pat? No, it's not pat. What am I saying? Like there's the four, like three or four different kinds of Greek love. Um, is it
Us.
eros? Eros?
I don't know, man.
Okay, well,
Yeah. I mean, we're professors, but we don't know
Hey.
that.
so yeah, the idea of actual intimacy, for the sake of actual intimacy, for the sake of loving a person, doesn't even apply to Ivan Ilyich, which I guess is maybe Leo Tolstoy's reflection of his own relationship with his wife. Um, People just did it for the sake of having a wife, not that he actually wanted to have a wife. And this kind of led to him hating, like, as he's dying, he started to hate his wife, because she spent so much money and she was kind of the cause of his conflict. So originally he had a job that paid him 3,500 rupees. I don't know if that's a lot. Like, but
Wait, here I can look it up.
there. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Uh, okay, Indian rupees to dollars. Yeah, 3,500 is approximately 47.02 in today's value.
Today's value, so $47.
$47.
They're like Russian rupees, so I don't know what they mean exactly.
Oh, that's okay. Hold on. Russian rupees.
Yeah, let's see. Russian rupees. Oh,
Okay. 45. It went down $2.
let me see. So this was written in 1886. So let's see, 1886 Russian rupees to okay, so 1,800. So let's say 3,500 is yeah, okay, so $35, $45, which I guess was a
Not a
lot of
lot.
money. Huh?
Never mind. Continue.
So $45, I don't know if that was a lot of money at that time. Probably, if it's in 1886.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, it was before Marx's idea, so I guess Marx was. Anyways, so he was like, okay, this 3,500 rupees isn't enough for me because my wife spends so much money and I want to get more material wealth. So he sought another post for 5,000 Russian rupees, which he eventually got because he was passed up on promotions at his own place because of his own hatred or whatever, his own like anger that came as a result of his wife. So, um, so he got a post of 5,000 rupees in another town, and while he was setting up the house for the new town, he was fixing a curtain and fell on his side and dislodged a kidney or hurt somewhere. It wasn't really clear in the book. Some medical condition that just got worse and worse as his life progressed, and it originally was just a bruise and it just kept getting worse. Um, so he was trying to um like build this super glamorous house because for the sake of a house, and because he was looking for more money and having more material wealth, it caused his death. Interesting, right? And it's all because of his wife. So man, Leo Tolstoy hated his wife. Um so as he's dying, he's bedridden, of course. Doctors try and solve his problems, but there's no doctor that's actually able to solve his problems. Um, the people that are like celebrity doctors even treat him as a body without a soul. He hates that. I mean, it was just because he was a judge, right? So he treated people in like that same kind of clinical way, where having that the level head of like, do these people get sentenced to death, kind of got turned on him with the clinical way that the doctors looked at him, and he hated that, of course. Um, yeah, so as we continue here, I'm gonna read another quote to you guys. So this is him on his own deathbed. Um, whenever he's thinking like, okay, did I live correctly? He comes to the conclusion that this is the quote here, not right. All that you've lived and lived by is a lie, a deception, concealing life and death from you. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, so what are you saying? Uh, like what's going on?
So, anyways, so what's basically going on is that Leo Tolstoy is saying through Ivan Ilyich that the things that he built up, the accumulation, the 5,000 rupees that he built up, was for nothing. He got this super nice house. He found a wife that was high class, and it was all just for nothing. And eventually, that his wife and his new post just was the reason for his death. He realized that he had lived an unfulfilled life as he sought the as he was dying. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah. I mean,
That's pretty powerful. It's pretty powerful stuff.
that's what it seemed like it was going for, Leo
Mhm.
Tolstoy. I don't know. He doesn't seem like the type of person that has that materialistic view. You're saying Marxism was a common thought process back then, but I think that Leo Tolstoy is a pretty uh reasonable fella. And I think that that was probably one reason why I don't know. It seemed like that was the point of the book, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, that nothing matters.
I guess no. I
Nihilism.
mean, I think you can construe it as Marxist because of like Marxist views on like materialism. They're very like anti-capitalist, right?
Hmm.
Hmm.
And I mean, being materialistic is inherently capitalist, right? So
Right.
I think that makes sense too.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's another point. That's good.
So as we continue, this is like one of the last quotes that I have here, and like one of the last quotes from the book. His work and his living conditions and his family and these social and professional interests all might have not been right. He tried to defend it all to himself, and he suddenly felt all the weakness of what he was defending, and there was nothing to defend. Um, man, like society has no this is the things that society puts value in, which is, having a nice family, social, like having a social life. Like, I mean, not a social life in how we see a social, like with a relationship with friends, but like having that
Yeah.
hoity-toity social life, having class and status, and professional interests, which is jobs and stuff. None of that actually matters. Um, So I guess the question is, what do you guys think does matter?
Well,
Um,
I think for me, the thing that matters most is developing strong relationships that are meaningful. You know what I mean? And I know that's super like that's super broad and vague, but I think that living your life for others rather than living your life selfishly,
Mhm.
that's how I see.
That's how you find your value is, um, and who you can impact is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, no, that's a really great perspective. What were you gonna say, Dr. Brooks?
um, I don't, I don't know. I was just gonna say that I feel like I don't know, like maybe I don't know what I haven't read the book, so I don't really know what the book is trying to say, but the meaning of life is pretty subjective in my opinion. You know,
how,
for
how long?
somebody might feel fulfilled if they have like all this fancy stuff or whatever, that they might die happy, and I know that's not the like book's point or whatever, but
Hmm.
I feel like everybody can find their own meaning. So
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you is like find what makes you happy and stick to it.
yeah, exactly.
I feel like there's always an innate human desire to have more, which is why there's like addiction and like the flesh is never ever satisfied, which is why I just can't think I could find my happiness in material wealth. There's no cap on like how much you can spend, there's no cap on how much money you can have. So you're always just going to want to make more to spend more and have more shoes, have more clothes, have more cars. And I just don't think personally I could find fulfillment in that just because I'm always gonna want one more thing. I mean, if you look at my room, there's so many lizards and stuff like that
Yeah.
that like I'm never gonna want to stop having these animals just because like the flesh is never satisfied. But I'll never find fulfillment if I keep wanting more, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I can't personally find a lot of comfort in having things. What I feel like matters. So there's a Harvard study that covered like the course of followed the lifespans of um, like several inner city Boston kids since for like 75, 80 years. So it's like the longest research study of all time. And they found that the best way to live a fulfilled life is through relationships, like as Gabe was saying, or I mean, Dr. McCracken, as Dr. McCracken was saying, um, the best way to live a fulfilled life is having and developing strong relationships that you can rely on, and not necessarily just with um with your family, like having a wife for the sake of a wife, but having a relationship with your wife, or having a relationship with your kids whenever you do have them. uh that's what's going to be the most important thing, is just developing and impacting the 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 lives that are around you. So that's where I
Yeah,
find my
I mean,
value.
as a family and relationship professor, I completely agree with you. You
Right.
know?
Hmm. And there's no, here's the thing with me. My problem is that because I've always been like a relatively high achieving person, like I want to be able to make enough money to have the real to truly appreciate the relationships that I have, which is a problem that I've been facing, is that mindset, with rather than just appreciating the people that I have in the moment. I feel like, okay, I'm going to be doing all of this stuff so that I can show that I appreciate them, rather than just talking and sitting down with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is something that I've actually been trying to work out. So like me taking all like the heavy course load is so that I can make enough money in order to someday make sure that my family isn't financially have any financial problems, like as I get older. Um, but then you look back and realize that, I'm not, like, what is there going to, like, you can't appreciate those relationships truly without developing the relationships, without the material um hindrance, I guess. So
Yeah, that's pretty heavy.
yeah,
That's a
but
very astute observation about your own like personal experience.
yeah,
It's
and that's
very
just,
mature of you.
thank you, thank you, Dr. Brooks, PhD.
No problem,
Uh,
man.
But what are you guys' thoughts on that? I guess, like, how have
well,
you guys? Hold on. Before I ask, let me ask a different question. Um, how have you guys been able to develop appreciate those relationships in your life?
hmm. Um, I think just finding times to talk to people, finding times to, spend time with people. Uh, I think that's how I try and seek out those relationships that fulfilled life.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I don't usually just worry about that too much. I guess that's something that, God gave me
Mhm.
as like a big old gift. I don't really have a ton of trouble connecting with people
Mhm.
personally. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I totally get the having uh I don't know. I get what you were saying though earlier.
Yeah. What about you, Dr. Brooks?
Yeah, I feel like the best way to connect with people, was that the question? The best way to connect
Yeah.
with people?
To appreciate the relationships in your life.
Oh,
Yeah.
um, to yeah, that's a good point from Professor Dr. Vic McCracken.
Yeah.
Just being with people is a great way to appreciate those relationships.
Mhm.
And you don't even have to like talk to them, just be with them and be present with them, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So like the
I
five
don't know,
love
it's kind of like
languages.
it's not a it's not a complex answer, but that's what I've
Right.
got.
Right. I think that it kind of comes down to like the five love languages and what works for you and what works for them as well, right?
Yes, that's a good point.
So like if quality time is what both of you love, then that's how you appreciate them, is through quality time. Or if words of affirmation, or
What's your love language, Frank?
you don't get to know that, Dr. Brooks, PhD.
I think I know what it is.
You don't.
I want to guess. I want to guess. And
Go for it. Go for it.
I think your love language is either words of affirmation or quality time. Which one is it? Neither?
I think it's a little
Is
bit
it
of,
acts of service?
I think it could be a little bit of both. Words of
Are you an
affirmation.
acts of service guy? 'Cause that's kind of lame.
No. I'm actually a what was the gifts one?
Oh yeah.
The
I don't
material
receiving
wealth
gifts
one?
or something.
Yeah.
You like receiving gifts.
The lamest love language.
Give me stuff.
Yeah.
Please.
There's nothing wrong with that love language. No,
No, there's everything is wrong with that love language.
Anyways, on that note, I think our Zoom recording time is about to run out.
Aw, dang.
Yeah.
Darn, can you extend it?
I mean, do you want me to?
No,
Frick
it's
that.
fine.
This is what is this podcast going to be called? The the quarantine podcast.
Bros Before Hoes, a podcast.
No, you can't say that. This is going to my teacher.
Pose the podcast. Balls the podcast.
Stop. It's all getting cut. Actually, I don't know how to cut. All right, cool. I'm stopping the recording in 3, 2, 1.